Hi, welcome to Pages. I'm Chi Zi Jian from the Diploma in Communications and Media Management in Temasek Polytechnic, and with me here are two special guests, Mr. Nixon Tan.
Hi.
And Miss Amelia Lee.
Thanks for having us here.
The story that we're going to talk about today is called An Ode to Darkness, a Chinese short story by Chi Zi Jian. The author talks about how she sees beauty and intricacy in darkness through a very painful bee sting, and how it's not often that we get to experience primordial darkness as man continues to manufacture artificial lights to chase away the darkness. So let me pose this question to both of you. What do you guys think of darkness? Nixon, if you may kick off the discussion.
Well, for me, darkness is a wonderful thing. I mean, it's all around us. All you need to do is just close your eyes and disconnect yourself from reality, and all you'll see is darkness. It's something that's pure and untainted. So obviously, it'll be beautiful.
Amelia, do you share Nixon's sentiments?
Well, no, I have to disagree with Nixon here. For me, darkness has more of a negative connotation. I tend to associate darkness with feelings of fear, anxiety, and a lot of feelings of isolation.
So what do you think were the positive connotations the author referred to darkness?
I guess when the author says that he sees beauty in darkness, he actually means that darkness has a lot of peace and tranquility. I mean, just imagine yourself in a quiet room, in a dark room. If you actually close your eyes, you can actually start to hear yourself think.
Indeed, thank you both for wonderful responses. As we can see, there's a polarity in your responses. Nixon feels that, the peace and tranquility of darkness simply adds on to its beauty, whereas Amelia is not too fond of darkness, if I may say so. So now the story talks about how we humans often take things for granted, such as nature. So what are some of the things that you guys have taken for granted? Amelia, if you may begin.
I think a lot of people will agree with me on this one. One of the things that I take for granted would be my monthly paycheck that I get from my part-time job. Before the money comes in every month, I'll tell myself, okay, I have to be more frugal. I have to spend more wisely, no more taking cabs. But then once the money comes in again, the usual happens. I'll start taking cabs as and when I like. Yeah.
So Amelia has paycheck problems. What about you, Nixon?
Well, for me, I take many things for granted. It's all those things that is present in my everyday life. My hard drive, my videos, my computer, and my games. So if they all break down, I think I'll be fairly shocked.
So as you can see here, Amelia has money problems, whereas Nixon faces the anguish of his gadgets dying on him. I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to what both of them have mentioned. Now let's take a look at how the story talks about the curiosity of the human heart. The more impossible it is to see something, the more the human heart yearns to see it. So Amelia, how well can you relate to this quote?
To a very large extent, I'll have to agree with this quote. Us human beings, we are very greedy. The more we can't have something, the more we'll want to have it. And just to tie it in with another quote, forbidden fruit is always the sweetest. So the more we are denied something, the more it'll appear sweeter to us, and the more we'll have to have it. Yeah.
That was a really insightful response. Thank you. I'll agree, Amelia, that sometimes the forbidden fruit might tend to always be the sweetest one. So now let's take a look at an excerpt that says, "The flashing bright neon lights of man's nightly drinking and ceaseless revelry have tainted its purity." So what do you guys think of this quote? Nixon, if you may start it off.
Well, I have to agree with that, because where I live at night is peaceful and quiet. There's that sense of tranquility that darkness has. But if you go out to town, it will be full of boisterous pubs and teenagers making a fool of themselves. That tranquility that the night has just shatters, and the darkness is no longer beautiful.
How about you, Amelia?
Well, I see Nixon's point, but I say that, all these night partying and all these revelry at night, they actually sort of bring some sort of, life and liveliness to the nightlife, and I feel a bit of this is needed.
So do you think that should be a balance between natural darkness and artificial lights?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you both for wonderful responses. As we can see, Nixon feels that all this boisterous noise and artificial lights are tainting the purity of darkness, whereas Amelia feels that, all these artificial lights are needed to bring life to the city, but that she mentions that there should be a balance between what is natural and what is artificial. So that was a great discussion, guys. I'm Zi Jian, signing off. This has been Pages, brought to you by Temasek Polytechnic and Read Singapore.